So as you stated, yes, there is a lot of vacant property around the site. We don't have any plans for development. Most of that area is zoned for industrial. Further to the west of the site is where residential, I'm sorry, further to the east of that site is where residential development. You should see some KB Homes, sorry, not KB Homes. DR Horton is looking at developing a new project in that area. But this is the only commercial type of development that's in the queue right now.
Thank you.
Any questions on item number 2? That's going to be the fueling station and accessory car wash and convenience store.
I just have one question. It's not necessarily related to it, but how many of the fueling stations and accessory car washes have been approved maybe within the last year or so?
That is a good question, Commissioner Cook-Askins. I don't have the exact total in front of me, but between projects that have been entitled or that are in the entitlement process, I would say that there's at least a handful that have been submitted or been approved within the last year. But then there's probably another handful that have been entitled, in prior years. Currently, we have a few gas stations that are under construction there on the Squally. We also have one on Mojave as well, and then one down the street from City Hall. But it is somewhat common to have the gas stations kind of follow the rooftops is like kind of the first wave of commercial development. This particular site, you may recall, had a gas station approved at a recent meeting just directly to the north. So this would be the second gas station on this corner of Mojave and Elevado.
Alrighty, thank you.
Number 3 is the specific plan amendment update. Anybody had any questions, issues on that one?
There was an add-on that should have been emailed out to you. There was a letter of support and then a letter in opposition.
Did the 3 of you receive that, the add-on packet?
Yes.
I have it.
Okay.
I have it as well, but haven't had the opportunity to review it fully.
Same with me. I apparently got it, but I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Okay, so maybe if we're able to wrap this work session up, Commissioner Harriman, you may have enough time to review that before the actual hearing starts at 5.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We have about 10 minutes, so we can go ahead and read through that as you will. Before we do, though, Scott, I did have on number 4, the vinyl fence for residential. I got a message from Carlos Rodriguez from the BIA, and he said, unfortunately, the one of the presenters, which is the actual, he said it was one of the fence installation companies that may give us some more information. He got double booked at 6 o'clock. So if we get too far down the road, do you think it would be best to move them up one or not?
I would say that that's your call as a presiding officer. You can shuffle the items and take them in a different order if you see fit. But yeah, that would be an option for you.
If we had to, we could move the new business to before the continued public hearing.
Yes.
Okay, and if we get towards 5:30 and these don't take a lot of time, we'll probably be okay. But we may do that because I think the fence thing, they have an 8-minute presentation or something. So I can't imagine that would take too long. I wouldn't want to put number 3 out or anything like that. Inconvenience them too much.
Okay.
I was just kind of giving a heads up for that. And then before we break here real quick, Commissioner Cook Askins invocation, right?
Yes.
And Commissioner Harriman Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob? We're gonna have IT call you right now to get your background, if you can hear me.
Sorry about that.
Okay, did you hear me? Yeah, you should be expecting a call. It will be Geo from our IT department to walk you through it.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay, if everyone can hear me, we should get started. I was gonna ask Commissioner Harriman, are you okay to get started?
Yeah, but he did, we don't have a good connection. He keeps dropping on my phone call, so
Okay,
we're
well,
probably gonna
if
just
you're-
have
if-
to do it this way
yeah, if you're good without the background, it's okay with me.
for now.
Yeah, and then maybe you can get it sorted out so you feel better about that next time. And it's now it's 5:02. So I'll go ahead and I'll call this meeting to order of the Victorville Planning Commission meeting for April 14th, 2021. Can I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Cook Askins,
Present.
Commissioner Thomas,
I am present.
Vice Chair Harriman,
Here,
Chair Kurth.
Here. Thank you. At this time, if we'd please stand for the invocation that will be led to us by Commissioner Cook Askins, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Harriman.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you have given us. We also thank you for the opportunity to meet this evening for this commission meeting. We ask that you continue to guide our city leadership and those present as we continue to receive input to further develop our city. In Jesus' name, amen.
amen. Good. Place your right hand over your heart and face the flag. And ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up, we have a set of minutes from 3 previous meetings, but I noticed that there was some discrepancies on the dates. On our sheet here, it says February 21st, but I believe that was the 24th. And then on page, just for note and clarification, on page 4, it's showing the attachments, dates of the 24th, March 2nd, and March 9th. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe all 3 meetings were February 24th, and then it was March 10th. And then the last meeting was March 15th, all of 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, those 3 dates are the exact.
Okay.
dates.
Okay, so for the record, those are the 3 dates of the approval of the minutes. Would somebody like to do that? Make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Let's do them separately because I think I was absent on one of them. So I'll just go ahead and do it if you don't mind. I'll make a motion to approve. No, I can't do the first one. If somebody wants to make a motion for February 21st meeting.
Move that the minutes from February 21st be approved. Commissioner Thomas.
I'll second that.
There was a motion by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Vice Chair Harriman. Roll call, Commissioner Askin Cooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Vice Chair Harriman,
Aye.
Chair Kurth.
I was absent for that meeting.
Okay. You can vote on minutes if you reviewed them.
I did review them, so I vote aye.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for that
Thank you.
clarification. And then I'll make the motion to approve the March 10th, 2021 and March 15th, 2021 meeting minutes.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Chair Kurth, seconded by Commissioner Askin Cook. Roll call vote, Commissioner Askin Cook,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Vice Chair Harriman,
Aye.
Chair Kurth.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to our public hearing items. Item number 1 is a development code amendment for a public storage facilities. If I could have the staff overview, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Agenda item number 1 is case number PLAN 20-00023. It's a development code amendment to allow for public storage facilities to be listed as a conditionally permitted use in the M1, which is the light industrial zone district, as well as a site plan and a conditional use permit to allow for the development of a self-service storage facility with recreational vehicle storage. All of these items were covered by proposed mitigated negative declaration, and this is on property located at the northeast corner of Mojave Drive and Mesa Linda Avenue within an M1 zone district. The Planning Commission may recall or may remember the applicant, and the plans may look familiar to a project that was proposed and approved by the Planning Commission at their January Planning Commission meeting for a similar facility on Amethyst Road. This proposal is a little bit different than that in as much as it includes a development code amendment. Currently, our municipal code conditionally allows self-service storage facilities within the C1, which is a neighborhood service, and the CM, which is a commercial manufacturing zone districts. This proposal would also list the M1 light industrial zone district as an area where storage facilities could be conditionally approved by the Planning Commission at their discretion. Typically, these types of facilities are located in these zones due to their location near residential communities such as C1 districts, as well as the fact that they do not create large volumes of traffic and typically don't create adverse impacts to neighboring land uses, which is the case in the C1 and the CM zone districts. M1 districts where this is proposed, which would be citywide, but it would also be applicable to this case, are generally truck accessible properties. They're typically located near circulation element roadways to accommodate vehicular traffic and truck traffic that would be going to those facilities. Storage facilities such as this and most storage facilities, in fact, create limited traffic impacts because they have very sporadic vehicle trips to the site, and they should not interfere with trucking operations in M1 zone districts. Additionally, the architectural design and scope and scale of storage facilities would provide an easy adjustment to the scope and scale of industrial development. So it would create a transition between industrial projects and storage projects that would not have negative impacts in the area. Based on that, and the fact that the general purpose and intent of industrial districts is fulfilled by storage facilities, staff would support the development code amendment aspect of this proposal. Moving on, this proposal also includes a site plan and conditional use permit that would allow an approximately 145,000 square foot facility that mainly consists of enclosed storage area. It also includes an accessory office space and an accessory caretaker's unit. In the interior of this site, there are covered and uncovered recreational vehicle parking spaces, as well as indoor recreational vehicle parking spaces. So there's a variety of parking provided at this site. The proposal complies with all general development standards of Title 16, including setbacks, lot coverage, building height, fence height, parking, and landscaping as proposed. There is a deviation proposed from the municipal code in this site. The municipal code requires a 20-foot setback at driveway entrances where parking spaces are directly accessed. So this would affect parking spaces 3, 4, 6, and 7. However, given the limited vehicle trips that are expected in the site and how they typically are accessing the interior of the site and not going to be stacking or using that parking at the front, staff would support a deviation to a 10-foot wide setback at the drive entry, and appropriate findings have been concluded in the resolution should the Planning Commission concur with staff's assessment. The elevations as proposed also are in accordance with the industrial design guidelines with a variety of materials that enhance the aesthetic of the development and will provide a good starting point for industrial development in the future. Lastly, this item was assessed environmentally in accordance with SEQA, which resulted in a mitigated negative declaration being proposed for the project. Mitigation measures for air quality, biological resources, and cultural resources were included in the resolutions that would ensure that any potential effects on the environment are less than significant. There's also comments included and conditions, that were received from the Mojave Desert Air Quality Management District that were included in the proposal at their request. The applicant is accepting of the conditions as proposed and as written. Staff would remind the Planning Commission that their actions tonight, as recommended by staff, are to make a recommendation to the City Council. This is due to the fact that the Development Code Amendment aspect requires approval by the City Council, and our municipal code dictates that any associated item with one item such as that requires council approval would require the entire proposal to be approved by the City Council. So everyone is approving the whole project in a piecemeal fashion. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission conduct a public hearing, receive testimony regarding the proposed project, and take the following actions. Recommend the City Council adopt the attached mitigated negative declaration with the mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the project, and adopt resolution P-21-018 recommending City Council approval of the Development Code Amendment portion of case number PLAN 20-0023. Adopted resolution P-21-019 recommending City Council approval of the conditional use permit portion of case number PLAN 20-00023, subject to the attached conditions of approval, and adopt resolution number P-21-020 recommending City Council approval of the site plan portion of case number PLAN 20-00023, subject to the attached conditions of approval.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Haragi. Are there any questions from the commissioners of staff at this point? Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and I'll open up the public hearing. Sorry?
I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Can you hear me? Are there, what are the future plans for Mesa Linda Street? Is it going to get extended to the north by the, are we just waiting for developers to develop the area before that street is extended? Or are there plans to extend it to the north?
Development will definitely guide that in the short term. It is a circulation element roadway. So as development occurs north of the site, then it will be extended. As to, I am unclear, and I can look into that for you if there are plans beyond that to extend it at this time.
I have a question.
Thank you.
In environmental assessment, and it mentions with the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, is that the city that will be monitoring that, or is there another agency that will be monitoring the mitigation?
That is correct. It will be the city staff monitoring the mitigation measures to ensure that they are fulfilled and implemented in accordance with the mitigated negative declaration.
Thank you.
Okay, then with that, I will go ahead and I'll open up the public hearing. If there's anyone, is the developer applicant here first to speak to us? I believe if they are here, I think it's the raise the hand button at the bottom of the screen.
As of now, there's no hands raised.
No hands raised. Okay.
Nope, I'm sorry. There is one.
Okay, great.
Billy Fong.
Yes, that'll be I am the applicant, and Bruce Jordan is the designer, which is online as well.
Okay, welcome.
Well, thank you. I do have to say that was a breath of fresh air to hear the city pray. I was very surprised and very pleased. that you guys believe, you know, in faith for God to just bless the city. I feel like I'm investing in the right area.
That's good. Mhm. Are there, do you have any questions from the applicants? Are you okay with all the conditions?
I don't have any questions. Anybody have any questions for me?
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners for the applicant? Okay, I don't think so. Thank you, Mr. Fong. Do we see anyone else here to speak on this item?
There are no other speakers at this time.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and I will close the public hearing and I will bring it back to the commission for a determination.
Are you ready for a motion?
Yes, if there's no other questions from anyone, which I don't think there is, yes, I think we'd be okay with the motion. Thank you.
Okay, I move that.
Was that a question?
Yeah, must be.
Go ahead, Mr. Thomas.
Okay, I moved that we comply with the recommendation from staff.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Thomas, a second by Vice Chair Harriman. Take a roll call vote. Commissioner Cook Askins,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Vice Chair Harriman,
Aye.
Chair Kurth.
Aye,
Motion passes unanimously.
thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 2, the fueling station, car wash and convenience store. If we could have the staff report on item number 2, please.
Thank you, Chairman Kurth and fellow commissioners. Item number 2 is case PLAN 20-00028. It is a site plan and conditional use permit with an environmental exemption to allow for the development of a fueling station with accessory car wash and convenience store, a conditional use permit to allow for alcohol sales within the convenience store, and a tentative parcel map to allow for the creation of 2 parcels from 1 vacant parcel. This is located at the southwest corner of Elevado Road and Mojave Drive. In summary, the applicant's proposing a fueling station. This would include 8 pump islands with a total of 16 pumps. So there would be two pumps per island, covered by a 4,000 square foot fuel canopy. The associated 4,050 square foot convenience store would provide convenience items for the general public, including a proposal to allow for the sale of beer and wine for offsite consumption. The proposal also includes a little over a 1,900 square foot restaurant with a drive-through. This is a future proposal, so it may or may not be built with the original gas station with convenience store. But nonetheless, it's included for future build out if the developer chooses to. And then finally, the parcel map associated with this proposal would split the existing 18-acre site into 2 parcels, carving out 1.5 acres for the subject development. The staff finds that all of the Title 16 requirements of the development code have been met. And therefore, staff recommends that the commission find the site plan conditional use permit portions of this project exempt per SEQA entitled infill developments, and exempt the parcel map per section 15315 entitled minor land divisions of SEQA. Also adopt resolution number P-21-014 approving the conditional use permit portion of case PLAN 20-00028, subject to attached conditions of approval, and adopt resolution number P-21-015, approving the site plan portion of case number PLAN 20-28, subject to the attached conditions of approval, and adopt resolution number P-21-016, approving the alcohol sales component of case PLAN 20-028, subject to the attached conditions. And finally, adopt resolution number P-21-017, approving the tentative parcel map portion of case number PLAN 20-28, subject to the attached conditions. The staff remains available should you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Do the commissioners have any questions that they would like to ask staff at this time? I had just one question, maybe just a comment. Once again, just to confirm, the alcohol sales portion on this convenient mart does include all of the conditions we typically have seen over the last few years, which would include singles only, no window advertising, and floor space constraints.
That is correct.
Okay, and I noticed reading through that this one is not in an overconcentrated area.
That is correct as well.
Okay. Yep. Because I know typically on a lot of them what we've done over the years, it has been over concentrated areas because it's been the Bear Valley and Palmdale Road and major arterial corridors. But you can see as the city starts to expand out a little bit and we see some of this new development, it's not in an over concentrated area. So that's good to see that growth moving outward a little bit.
And Chairman, if I might, I could add a little bit more insight why it's still limited to only beer and wine sales, even though it's not in an overconcentrated census tract per ABC standards. It is per our municipal code standards within 600 feet of residents. The residents that are closest are within like about 400 feet of the site. So our municipal code does not allow for distilled spirits within that 600 feet distance. So that's the reason why this proposal only includes beer and wine.
Thank you.
I have a question, Scott. Is the developer gonna build the block wall all the way around, including the lot that isn't gonna be developed yet?
That block wall requirement would kick in when the remainder of the 18-acre parcel is built out. Since they're only developing that hard corner, there's still a large amount, 16 plus acres of the remainder to be built out. So there's not any condition associated with block wall along that residential boundary at this time.
Okay.
Okay, if there's, do you have a question?
Yes. Is the area behind the station or between the station and the residential area? I know that's that's part of the other parcel, but are there any future plans to put more residential there, or would it be commercial?
So right now, the entire 18 acres is that hasn't been developed yet on that corner is zoned for commercial development. But at this point, we don't have any proposal to build it out.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cook Askins, any questions on item number 2?
No questions.
Thank you. Then I'll go ahead and I'll open up the public hearing on agenda item number 2. Are we seeing anyone that would like to speak?
If you'd like to speak, raise your hand. I do see him online, but he is not raising his hand to speak. So no speakers at this time. Do you want to give it a few seconds?
Yeah, let's wait 1 minute and see once again if somebody wants to speak, they would use the raise the hand function.
There we go. Jerry Bawa.
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
Hi, guys. How are you? This is Jerry Boucher. I'm the developer. Just wanted to thank the commission and the city. We've been in the city for a better part of 20 years doing business. And just wanted to say thank you all for your guys' support and all you do. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your business in Victorville. Is there anyone else that's showing that they'd like to speak?
There are no other speakers.
Okay, thank you. I will then close the public hearing, and I will bring it back to the commission for any further discussion and or a determination.
I'll move that we approve the project as written.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Harriman, a second by Commissioner Cook Askins. Roll call vote. Commissioner Cook Askins,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Vice Chair Harriman,
Aye.
and Chair Kurth.
Aye.
That motion passes.
Okay, thank you. At this time, as we discussed in the workshop, we have two items left. One is the specific plan amendment update for SCLA. And then we did have a proposal on the vinyl fence options. And we got notice that one of the presenters for this one had a time constraint. So I'm going to move agenda item number 4 to current, and then we'll deal with item number 3. And I would ask that on this item number 4, if they could, keep the presentation as concise as possible, and then we'll be able to have a little bit of time for questions, and then we hopefully we won't be delaying number 3 too long. So item number 4, please.
Hi, Chairman Kurth. I could start this off by just explaining why this item was on the commission's agenda. As you recall, at the March 10th meeting, Carlos Rodriguez from the BIA requested that the Planning Commission hear some information about vinyl fencing. The commission agreed, so this new business item was added to our meeting today. In your packet, there's just a brief memo that goes through the background of the block wall requirements for new single-family development, and provides some additional history. But with that, staff remains available to answer any questions the commission may have after the building industry provides a presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Webb. Do we have whoever wants to give us the presentation? That might be Mr. Rodriguez or any of your team ready to go.
Just give them a second. Okay, there's 2 people with their hands raised that are phone numbers, so I want to check with them. One phone number is 909 and it ends 630. I'm not sure if he's part of the presentation. We've asked to unmute you. If you want to hit *6, you can unmute yourself. And also there's another phone number. Oh, there we go. Hello?
Yes, hello, this is Carlos Rodriguez. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great.
You have the floor, Mr. Rodriguez. You have the floor.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I wanted just to confirm, do we have Mr. Jerry Kay on the line?
Is Alan on the line, Eric Carlos?
No, sir. Jerry, it's just you. So I'm going to have, I just wanted to confirm
I'm
that
on
you
the
can hear
line
me okay.
too. This is Alan.
Okay, okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm just going to start off by letting the entire planning commission know how appreciative we are that you're indulging us today with an adjustment on the schedule, trying to accommodate some of the technology challenges here today. So I'm going to ask Jerry and Alan Kay to provide an overview on vinyl fence options that the BIA in Southern California and our members, 1,200 strong, utilize this type of fencing on the vast majority of the subdivisions throughout Southern California. And so what we would like to do is, for your consideration, have Jerry and Alan with FenceWorks as one of our members who provide this product to share a little bit about vinyl fencing. And we provided a fact sheet for you today. And it talks about the durability, the affordability for the homeowner, how vinyl fencing is consumer friendly, how it maximizes space, how it provides flexibility. And also we wanted to share with you how it's an industry standard. And in the fact sheet that we provided today for your consideration, we just provided a quick excerpt of a partial list of, again, the vast majority of cities that do utilize this high quality, high resilient product. And before I turn it over to Alan and Jerry again, I think part of what we're wanting to do is be a resource to the city of Victorville. We view this as a premier market. We do want to do what we can to work with the Planning Commission and the City Council and staff to help you all meet your RENA obligations from the state. We know that it's about a planning process to identify locations and units at the allocated income levels, but beyond that, it's truly the goal is to try to provide those homes to come to fruition. And part of the challenge these days, as has been in years past, not only in Victorville, but throughout California, is an affordability challenge, which is part of this housing shortage and crisis that we're dealing with. So while this isn't the silver bullet per se, but this is a good step in the right direction of providing alignment with the rest of the market, and also ensuring that we do what we can to not only provide the best quality, but also address any expense issues, which right now with the mandate on block walls exclusively, that does provide an unnecessary expense. And we wanted to provide some additional context about this option for your consideration. And hopefully, if you like what you hear today, that we can bring this back for future consideration and working with staff under your direction to come back with an amendment to the current requirements and to allow for vinyl fencing. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jerry and Alan. Thank you.
Hi, go ahead. Can you hear me okay? This is Alan Kay with FenceWorks.
Yes, we can hear you, Alan.
With respect to the board, I'd like to just give a quick background about ourselves and vinyl fencing. We've been in business since 1986. We've been installing fence for the Southern California and Northern California regions for nearly 35 years, and doing vinyl fencing for about 20 years. With that being said, we're among the largest fence contractors in the United States. And the reason I bring that up is that speaks to the volume of vinyl fencing that we are fortunate enough to install for public and private home builders. The polyvinyl chloride fence that we do install comes with a limited lifetime warranty with the two manufacturers that we have chosen to partner with. There are several partners or several suppliers out there that you could utilize. It doesn't have to be the two that we use. So it's not monopolized in any way, shape, or form to just our company. You can seek other forms and colors, and each developer will decide which fence contractor they use. But ultimately, we do this fence throughout Riverside, San Bernardino, Orange, San Diego, Ventura, and LA counties. Like I said, for a majority of the larger home developers. It has a substantial wind load. Wind loads can be 80 miles an hour all the way up to 120 miles an hour with engineered calculations for that. provides a substantial barrier between homes and gives homeowners privacy without giving them I want to say the rigid look of the block wall. With that being said, that's all I have. If Jerry wanted to comment any further, or if the board had any more questions for us, I'm open for discussion.
This is Jerry K. with Fenfix. I just wanted to mention that the wind loads can be increased on the our vinyl fencing with the insert of what we call a galvanized Z post into the footing, and it's inside the post, and it extends up at the break joint, which is at shear point, is at the grade, and it increases the wind load at least 25 to 30%. And we also increase it with, if we need to, for high wind areas with steel inserts in the rails if needed. And that can increase that, like Alan says, from 80 to 120 miles an hour. And we do that in the city of Lancaster. And I believe you've seen that sample that I sent over there. It was actually, that was the one that we were showing everybody, was that high wind loads sample. I'm not sure if you saw that or not. That's basically what I wanted to highlight on, because I know of the high wind areas in some of the high deserts. Go ahead.
Also, Jerry and Alan, maybe you could speak to the weather as well as to some of the particulars on the installation and the durability as well.
Well, the durability of vinyl fencing is long been desired by many homeowners, albeit the ones that are trying to put in wood fence. The longevity of vinyl fence over wood fence, like I said, it comes with a limited lifetime warranty, surviving all 4 seasons with no abrupt changes in context or texture. It does come with a 10-inch round by 24-inch deep concrete footing, which keeps it in place. Footings are placed every 8 feet. So you're getting a nice rigid fence that sustains. It also has what we call titanium oxide, and that's similar to what you have in, I'm going to say, your car paint. It's what reflects the sun. So unlike a polyvinyl chloride pipe, which would absorb sun, albeit it's designed to go subterranean, this is above ground and absorbs. Well, what we don't want it to do is absorb light. That's why we put the titanium oxide in it, so it reflects it, so it doesn't become chalky and brittle. And then it doesn't expand and contract with the heat. So with that being said, you're getting a long life versus like a wood fence that you would have to maintain continuously throughout the elements.
Yeah. Vinyl fencing is used all the way up in the coldest of areas and all over America, down into the deserts. It's very good weatherable material.
Gentlemen, why don't we stop there for a moment, and if I could ask if on this staff side of things, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to, I was not able to move the slideshow, so maybe just for a moment go through some of the slides of the Planning Commission's benefit for a moment. You can just see some other examples, and then when we get to Pacific Communities, we'll have Jennifer Chung join us here to say a few words. So you could see again some of the examples that we have. And next slide. Again, there's different types of colors, but as they were talking about, weather tested, wind tested. Next slide. There's also, when we have some of our members talk a little bit about the homeowner satisfaction and homeowner preference as well. Next slide. I think you'll see as you've driven across, I know the high desert, but throughout the Inland Empire in Southern California, this is the standard type of fencing you'll see. It's aesthetically pleasing and again, high quality. And as you heard from Alan and Jerry, there's a science to it as well, to the materials. Next slide. Again, just wanted to, to provide you with his a quick snapshot of some of the beautiful communities that have these types of fences. And next slide. We do see these fences, they transcend all communities at all price points as well. So I think it's very important to know that we are building homes for those that are the missing middle, or those who are also longtime homeowners and want to sell their home and move up to homes that are upwards into the $1 million, to homes that are a first-time home buyer, and all types of homes in between are using this type of fencing. Next slide. And with that, I think we'll be coming upon Jennifer Chung with Pacific Communities will be one of our first comments. And then what we thought we would have some of our other members provide some brief 1-minute comments, and then open it up to any questions. Next slide. Okay, so that brings us Jennifer Chung. And Jennifer, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can.
Okay, great. So I'll make it quick because I know everyone's short on time, but thank you again for the opportunity to lend our support to this request. I just wanted to reiterate what Carlos had said about it being what we consider aesthetically pleasing. We use it everywhere from the Inland Empire to LA to Antelope Valley, where we have quite a few communities at various price points, as Carlos had mentioned. In fact, this first community on the top here, Pacific Bougainvillea, is priced in the millions. And we use the same material that we use inland out in the Antelope Valley, as I had mentioned, which is the next slide. But this is kind of a sampling of our projects. One thing I did want to mention that we found is that block wall, actually, we know we've built out in Lancaster as well. We do have to use anti-graffiti paint. It is required. I know graffiti may not be a big issue. However, it's only good once it has been graffitied or damaged. The paint is only good for one use, as opposed to vinyl. When it really becomes damaged, it's really easy to pop out a section for us and to refresh the look by replacing that section. So we find that our home buyers really like it, and that it's maintenance free, has a pretty good warranty, and can withstand the weather in a lot of the places we build. So we hope that you just will consider it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. We also have KB Home here today, Heidi McBrooms with KB Home, to offer a few comments along with her slides. Thank you, Heidi. I'm hoping Heidi's there.
We do not see Heidi unless she is calling in.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought we had her on, so that's okay. Well, how about we go to LGI Homes and RJ Hernandez. RJ, are you there? I think I saw him on one of the
Yeah, he was
Zoom
on.
box.
Yes, he was.
I saw him on there. Did we lose him?
He's not on any longer.
Okay. No. Well, I'm going to keep the good old college try to Alyssa Bottinelli with DR Horton and see if she's there.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Wonderful. Thank you, Alyssa. I'll
great.
turn it over to you, DR Horton's perspective. Thank you.
All right. So hi, this is Alyssa Bottinelli. I'm with DR Horton. I do want to thank you, Chair and Commissioners, for taking the time to hear us out today. We really appreciate it. I'm really going to echo the sentiments of, my peers and Carlos, Jennifer, and FenceWorks here. When DR Horton plans a new community, we do prefer to install vinyl as privacy fencing in between our homes, because at the end of the day, it's really what our homeowners and our buyers prefer. As we mentioned earlier, vinyl is way more attractive. It's more versatile. And really aesthetically, it's softer than block wall. So as opposed to block wall, vinyl really creates a sense of community. Installing all block around a home can feel really cold and kind of prison-like, especially when it runs right in with the surrounding desert landscape. Additionally, as we all know, and we're all aware here, we are in a housing crisis, and housing prices are at an all-time high. The raw material costs to build a single-family home are also at an all-time high for us builders. So to build a 2,000 square foot home in Victorville costs the same to build as a 2,000 square foot home in Riverside. However, Victorville is one of the hottest markets right now. There's so much growth in Victorville. And that is because the home prices are attracting first-time home buyers who may be priced out of markets like Riverside. So we, the builders, we're facing an uphill battle here in keeping the construction costs down and prices affordable for first-time and local buyers. In addition to vinyl being just more attractive for the overall community and being preferred by homeowners, vinyl is also a more cost-effective option for the builder. Over time, initiatives like this will help us keep home prices comparable to the local market and hopefully allow us to spend more development dollars elsewhere, like on new infrastructure and new developments. So again, we really do appreciate your time this evening, hearing our comments and listening to FenceWorks and what the VIA is offering as far as, the vinyl versus the block wall. And I can tell you with 3 projects currently in development with D.R. Horton and a 4th under consideration in the city of Victorville, I personally look forward to hearing your feedback on our comments.
Well, thank you for your comments. And I'll just ask if Heidi or RJ were able to raise your hands there. Do we see any raised hands on your end of on the city side?
No, I still do not. And I don't see their names. Unless
Okay.
they're calling by phone.
Well, then I think what we would do is say thank you for the opportunity to provide these comments. And we do still have Jerry and Alan available for any questions that you might have, as well as the builders here, if there are any questions that you have about the different aspects of this high quality product. And we'd love to entertain any questions you might have.
Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah, if you want to stay on the line there for a moment, at this point, I would like to give a chance for, each of the commissioners to give, any thoughts or any direction, basically your feelings of this presentation and any thoughts of moving forward. I'll start with Commissioner Cook Askins. Do you have anything to comment on here?
I do appreciate the presentation, and throughout the course of it, quite a few of my questions were answered. Especially concerning the wind. That is a heavy item here in the high desert, so that was really good to hear. As well as the maintenance information. I would like, just to get a little bit more information on the maintenance of the fence and, just some more of the durability questions.
Okay, thanks. And Commissioner Harriman, your thoughts?
You referred to assist in the wind load. Was it referred to as a Z-bar? And I guess, Carlos, that question is either for you or, excuse me?
It's a Z post. It's named that. We developed it. It's a 16 gauge galvanized formed Z, like basically 5 inches inside of a slides down into the hollow 5x5 post, and we put it in up to the footing and about 2 feet out of the ground, so it's at the shear point where the wind breaks and bends the post, and that increases it extreme quite a bit. In high wind area.
Okay, and does that get installed in every post or just on the corners, the end posts, or the posts on every panel?
You put it, you in high wind areas, you basically put it in the areas in between the connections, because at connections it's rigid and you don't need a Z post there. And it puts it anywhere that in the backyard, basically from the back of the house back, there is where the Z posts are in high wind areas. That's where most of the damage is usually done and the highest wind loads are at. In between the houses, the fences in between the houses usually doesn't, you just don't get that kind of force from the side. It's coming at it from the, parallel with it. The wind's running
Correct.
parallel.
Your exposure, once you get past the homes, it goes beyond the exposure C rating. And that's what you would use that Z post insert for, to accommodate that exposure C rating, where you're not getting a windbreak from a structure or a tree or any other, immobile device.
House fencing is usually pretty solid without Z post in it.
Okay.
Maintenance on this, Carlos wanted me to speak on maintenance. Maintenance is virtually soap and water. To clean it if you want it to look like new. It doesn't take much maintenance. It's got TiO2 in it, which is Alan spoke of, which reflects the sun, and that's a very good UV inhibitor. And there's not a lot to have to take care of vinyl fencing.
I can add that I have removed 100 feet of wood fence at my home and gone with the vinyl, and I'm really pops out my pool. And so I do like it. But I have one question on longevity. I do have some friends that have vinyl fencing that is quite old. It's over 10 years old, and they're having problems with their neighbors throwing things at the fence and popping holes in them. Is this new vinyl product, has it been improved over time to withstand more of the elements?
Absolutely. It's just like anything else, it improves over time. The chemical composition, like I had mentioned before, the titanium oxide, as it gets introduced into the polyvinyl chloride product, it's just like any other chemical composition. It's tweaked, modified, refined year over year. And what we've come to see in the last 5 years is it's remarkable. I mean, the fade rate is less than 2% when you compare it to a brand new fence compared to something that's over a year old. It's the partners that we have gone with, and I don't want to name drop, but I can supply the board with the two manufacturers we do use. They predominantly put up vinyl windows and vinyl siding, and they have been doing it for over 100 years. So what you're seeing now is the compilation of all of these products, all of this chemical chemistry, and everything coming together to get what we see now. It's kind of simple when you look at it. There's only 4 components to the fence, but the years of industry leadership and chemical refinement is unlike anything I've seen.
And being in the fence industry, being in the fence industry, we've seen several manufacturers come and go too, because not using the correct amount of TiO2, putting too much in, making it brittle, which may be what's wrong with what your neighbor has right there. Because then it cracks and breaks easy when you hit it with rocks. That's where Alan says it's so improved now that it's virtually probably one of the best fence products that I've seen in my life.
Okay, I have a question for the developers, and I believe there's only a couple, Mrs. Chung, and I don't recall the other person's name. Are you guys looking to just replace the walls on the interior and rear property lines?
This is Alyssa with DR Horton.
Is that the goal, is to just replace the fencing or the walls that were required on the interior sides and rear property lines?
Usually, most projects, the perimeters of the projects are done in CMU, concrete masonry, and then we'll do the backbones in between from the house between the houses, and then the side yards in between the houses. And, and then also street ends also.
That question was for the developers, but I think you answered it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Well, can I go ahead and elaborate on that? This is Alyssa with DR Horton. Can you hear me?
Hi, how you doing?
Hi.
Yes, let's go ahead.
Yes, so just to kind of elaborate on what FenceWorks was just saying, what we would pursue here is to have the CMU block wall along the perimeter of our communities and maybe on side-facing or street-facing lots. And then as far as the privacy fencing, we're talking about the fencing that's around the actual residence, the home. That's what we're looking to achieve with vinyl. Again, it's that softer look, that more of a community white picket fence feel, as opposed to having block in between and in the rear of every single home. But yeah, we would definitely still pursue and want to have the CMU block wall along at least the perimeter of the community.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And Commissioner Thomas, any questions or comments on this?
You are muted, Commissioner Thomas.
Sorry about that. I too am concerned about the lifespan and durability of the vinyl fencing. My next door neighbor has a Saint Bernard who likes to stand up on the fence, and of course, it puts a lot of force on that fence. And I'm wondering how vinyl will stand up to that as compared to wood or something comparable.
You want this, Alan, or you want me? No, go ahead. On something like that, I mean, a Saint Bernard is a pretty unique dog to have, and I would only recommend that you put steel inserts in it that it was done for the wind tappet. They'll stiffen that up to where a big 150-pound dog could jump up against it. If you leave it hollow and you keep jumping up with a 150-pound dog, something might end up giving, but I don't think it won't bend over. But that's what the steel Z-post I was telling you about adds to the fence. And if somebody's got that big, it should be.
That's kind of an extreme situation, but I guess my concern is the lifespan of the vinyl over the years. Is it 10 years? Is it similar to wood, or what would we be looking at?
You're looking at a limited lifetime warranty, so something that'll last in excess of 30, 35 years before it would need to be replaced.
Okay.
And just going back to your question, sir, on the question regarding the St. Bernard, with the wind loads, given the wind loads in Victorville, I would say majority of your tracks are going to require that steel insert for the wind loads anyway, which would help shore up your concern with the dog or any other force, balls, what have you, that would hit that fence. That would provide additional rigidity.
What about the warranty?
In what respect?
No, I'm just saying how long is the typical warranty on a fence, say up in this region?
With our suppliers, they're telling us it's a lifetime warranty on the product, and you would have to register it with them, which is easily done through the builder or through FenceWorks, but it is a lifetime warranty.
That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then I'll have some comments. I would like to, I feel like we have a bit of a consensus here that this is worth moving forward and at least looking at. And in our staff report, they did mention that we could bring this back at a future planning commission meeting for discussion and analysis. And I imagine that would, that would have some better options, for us if should we move forward and actually make a determination to allow this vinyl fencing in either all cases or some cases. We don't know. But Mr. Webb, would it be appropriate to direct you and your staff to take a look at this further, maybe bring us back your thoughts? I'd be very interested to hear from our staff experts, building department, planning, engineering, maybe even, to see what their thoughts are. Maybe there's other communities that could be looked into a little bit more, just to give us, a sense. Obviously, if we were to move forward with this, we would, with the winds in the high desert, we would want to be very, very certain that we have the maximum wind loads, things like that.
Can I insert something here? That City of Lancaster was typically all block wall for many years. And about 4 years ago, I was able to, the sample that you see with Z-posts and Z-rails and locking the boards and the rails, it brings the wind load up to 110, 120 miles an hour. And I got that spec put into the City of Lancaster, and virtually every project over there has that fence now.
Okay, thank you. So I think that's the direction, Mr. Webb. Is that sufficient? Is that understandable?
Yes, we can do an analysis and bring forward a recommendation to you at a future commission meeting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you happen to know, without putting pressure on, do you happen to know what that future meeting might look like as far as a date?
I would say within the next 2 months, we could bring that analysis to you.
Okay. Okay, so that's the direction. I want to thank those folks that came and gave the presentation. And with that, then I'm going to move on to go back to agenda item number 3. If we can have the staff report on number 3, please.
Yes, Chairman, Commissioners, staff is pleased to present agenda item number 3. It's planning case 1904. It's a comprehensive specific plan amendment to update the Southern California Logistics Airport specific plan with a subsequent program environmental impact report. And it's located on property generally north of Air Expressway, south of the Victorville city limit line, and it's between the Mojave River and Adelanto Road to the west. It also includes the federal prison complex to the south. The original specific plan is now 25 years old plus. And the updated SCLA specific plan will establish the nature, character, and intensity of development in the project area by identifying allowed land uses, design guidelines, development standards, circulation, and the drainage facilities. And the updated SCLA specific plan also promotes a new industrial and airport development in the project area in a phased manner. It also reduces the planned building square footage from the old specific plan by more than half to reflect realistic market conditions, as well as to create development districts to identify core priority development areas. Today, you also received 2 additional add-on items. One was a letter of support, and the second was a late comment letter that is addressed in the memo to you. And hopefully, if you all have any questions, feel free to ask. At this time, staff would like to recommend that the Planning Commission take the following actions. Recommend that the City Council adopt the final subsequent program environmental impact report with a mitigation monitoring and reporting program, with a recommendation to adopt the statement of facts, findings, and overriding considerations, and adopt resolution number P-21-009, recommending City Council approval of the Southern California Logistics Airport specific plan amendment case number PLAN 19-00004. And staff is available for any questions. And Chairman, thank you for that slight delay. We've been waiting for 2 years. You had us on the edge of our seats.
Okay. And thank you for that report, Mr. Sarzinski. Any questions from the commissions for regarding that staff report? Okay, hearing none, then I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing officially. And I would assume there's might be individuals here from the CLA Development Sterling team. If so, are they here?
Yes. Alan is here and he's going to do his presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Can everyone see my slide? Okay.
I think we lost you there, Alan.
Oh, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
There, it's back
All right.
now.
All right. Is my screen showing up okay for everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Let me dive in here. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members. To be here in front of you. My name is Alan Ashimine. I am with Michael Baker International, and we have been the consultant to the city and to Sterling Development for preparation of this specific plan amendment and the environmental impact report before you tonight. As Mike noted, it's been a long process with a lot of hard work. I really wanted to thank city staff for all their cooperation. It really has been a collaboration and a partnership between the city, Sterling, and the consulting team. So thanks again to city staff for all your involvement along the way. All right, let's dive in here. Okay, I'll start with some background. Mike covered the location. Again, this is the SCLA specific plan boundary shown in yellow, generally east of US 395, west of the Mojave River, and generally north of Air Expressway. All right, so SCLA occurs at the former George Air Force Base. The Air Force Base was deactivated in 1992 as part of the BRAC process and was subsequently annexed into the city in 1993. The specific plan was prepared and adopted by the city. It became effective in March of 1993. Since that time, there have been numerous specific plan amendments. The most recent major amendment to the specific plan did occur in 2004. At that point, there was a pretty large geographic area that was added to the specific plan at that time. Again, this is the result of a partnership between the city and Sterling Development to redevelop the airport and surrounding areas to spur development and growth within the project area. The specific plan in SCLA, it really is envisioned as an economic driver for the city and for surrounding areas. All right, so a little bit about the specific plan. It is a total of 8,611 acres in size. So this includes the airport proper itself, some of the areas south and west of the airport that are more occupied by development. But it also includes areas further to the north and east, closer to the Mojave River, large expanses of vacant land, really not much going on there. So it includes all of those areas. The specific plan does provide for a few key principal items, the first being the range of land uses allowable in the specific plan area, the infrastructure that would be required to support those land uses, and also the development standards. That includes the permitted uses, building regulations, and other development criteria. Since 2006, there have been approximately 4.4 million square feet of development at SCLA. That's given the city a tax base of over $250 million created to date and over 2,000 permanent jobs generated. All right, the fundamental purpose of the specific plan amendment before you tonight, it's to reflect current development trends. Again, this is the original specific plan goes back to 1993, reflect current economic and market conditions, and also modernized design guidelines. Provide an updated specific plan for infrastructure that serves SCLA, and then overall just modernize the format and framework of the specific plan to meet today's needs. And just a reminder, the specific plan amendment is the project that's analyzed as part of the environmental document, the EIR, before you tonight. And at this point, I'll hand it over to Tracy Rzuski, also of Michael Baker, who will speak in more detail to the specific plan amendment. Tracy, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
There we go. We can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you, Ellen. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. I just wanted to make sure I'm working between my phone here and my computer. Everyone can hear me okay, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Before I get started, I would also like to thank staff for all the hours of hard work and collaboration it took to get here and how much we appreciate having staff support tonight. Next slide, please, Ellen. I think this, the entitlement before you, as Ellen mentioned, is the specific plan amendment, and I would like to highlight the key revisions made to the plan. Ellen already highlighted that it was basically there's a reduced development footprint without reducing the specific plan boundaries, better reflects current development trends and market conditions, and more accurately describes existing infrastructure, projected infrastructure requirements, and modernizes the specific plan document as a whole. Next slide, please, Alan. Some additional changes include modification of existing land use district boundaries to better guide future development at SCLA. And again, however, there are no changes to the actual specific plan boundary. As previously mentioned, the plan does call for reduction of development footprint, including redistribution of over 1,000 acres of industrial development, while enlarging the acreage available for development of airports and support facilities. Next slide. Some additional noteworthy changes include the creation of the Public Institutional Land Use District, which is applicable to the existing FCC Victorville, which was previously designated as industrial. Revisions to circulation and infrastructure planning components of the specific plan. Also updates to the design guidelines to ensure quality design and coordinated development within the specific plan area by providing direction for site design, landscape design, architecture, and lighting. Next slide. Here's a table that reflects the redistribution of the acreage by land uses throughout the plan. This is what I mentioned previously. And again, there were no changes to the actual specific plan boundary. Next slide. Here you can see the specific plan boundary, which is the red line. The blue lines show the boundary of each land use, which is also labeled, and the development districts are more general areas with names based on their geographical location within the specific plan, just for the purposes of differentiating between major portions or regions of the plan. And if there are no questions for me, I would turn it back over to Alan to go over the CEQA process.
Sure. Thank you for that, Tracy. So let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into the CEQA document. And again, that's an environmental impact report before you tonight. So this is a flow chart that shows the key milestones in terms of the EIR review process. You'll see here a common theme. In green on the bottom are multiple opportunities for public and agency input. The city definitely pushed for that, and there have been those opportunities. The first step in the process was preparation of the notice of preparation, the NOP, for the project. That is subject to a 30-day public review period. The city did conduct a public scoping meeting back in October 2019 with the intent of receiving input from the community in terms of the scope of the EIR. Subsequent to that happening, the city prepared the draft EIR. That really is the heart of the analysis in terms of what's for your consideration here. That document was subject to a 45-day public review period. So again, another opportunity for public and agency input. Once that review period concluded, the city prepared written responses to all comment letters received. There were a total of 4 letters received, and the city did distribute those letters to the commenting agencies. The responses to comments becomes part of the final EIR, which is what is being presented to you tonight. Again, another chance for public and agency input as part of this public hearing that we're participating in today. And then the last step in the process would be the findings and resolution that would be adopted as part of the environmental impact report. All right, so what is an EIR? It's foundationally, it's a disclosure document. It discloses the potential environmental impacts of a project to the city's decision makers, to the community, to responsible agencies. It includes measures that mitigate identified project impacts. It identifies any significant and unavoidable impacts that can't be mitigated. And then it also analyzes a range of alternatives to the proposed project. This draft EIR, again, it was subject to a 45-day review period, and it was circulated from December 18th of last year to February 1st of this year. And again, written responses to comments were received for the 4 letters that were submitted during the public review. All right, one distinction to make within the EIR, and a picture does tell 1,000 words. So in yellow, you see here is the specific plan boundary. So that's 8,611 acres. There's another boundary within, that's the blue boundary, and that's what's called the priority development area. And the intent of identifying this priority development area is, encompasses foreseeable development. And we've defined that in the EIR as development that would occur over the next 25 years. So the approach in the analysis we've taken, we have 5 phases of 5 years each that would occur over the next 25. Anything above and beyond this boundary, again, you see large expanses of vacant land to the north of the airport and also to the east of the airport near the Mojave River. These are areas where there really isn't much infrastructure. There are probably well over 100 private property owners. There really isn't too much going on. So development in these areas of the specific plan, it could be 50, 60, 70 years out if it occurs at all. So it's considered highly speculative at this point. So that was the intent of including this priority development area shown in blue. All right, so anticipated development under the specific plan, I talked about the 5 phases. So this table breaks down those phases. You see phases 1 through 5 through the next 25 years with the associated building areas and acreages. I think the takeaway for this particular slide, if you look at the bottom, in terms of new building area, we're showing just shy of 26 million square feet of building area. I did want to note, as compared to the 2004 EIR that had been prepared for the most recent major specific plan amendment, that EIR did contemplate upwards of 60 million square feet. So there has been a substantial reduction in terms of the amount of building area proposed. All right, so these are the topics that have been addressed within the draft EIR. It pretty much covers the full suite of topical areas required under Appendix G of the CEQA guidelines. For the majority of cases, the impacts were determined to be less than significant or less than significant with mitigation, but there were 3 exceptions. These are the ones highlighted, or excuse me, in bold and italics. So I'll start with air quality. So for air quality, we did perform quantified modeling that accounted for long-term operational impacts and specifically mobile emissions. So emissions coming from trucks, cars, vehicles accessing the project site. Based on the results of that modeling, we did see an exceedance of Mojave Desert AQMD thresholds for long-term operations, so that therein resulted in a significant and unavoidable impact. The same can be lines for noise. We did perform a quantified analysis of mobile noise impacts over the long term. So again, noise generated by cars, trucks, what have you, traveling to and from the site on local roadways. It was determined through that modeling that impacts would exceed identified thresholds for a noise increase. So a significant impact did occur in that regard as well. And then finally, under land use and planning, this is tied to both air quality and noise. So as part of that exercise, we had to do a consistency analysis with relevant planning documents. One of those documents is the city's general plan. It does have a policy related to noise and adherence to standards to maintain acceptable noise levels. Since we had that project-specific noise impact, we also had an inconsistency with that policy. The same can be said for air quality. We had to do a policy analysis for SCAG's regional transportation plan. There is a policy related to air quality emissions and a reduction in emissions over time. Again, since we had that project-specific impact, we also had a consistency item there too. Okay, so the responses to comments are part of the final EIR before you tonight. There were a total of 4 comment letters received during the public review period from the California Department of Fish and Game or Wildlife, Lahontan Regional Water Quality Control Board, Mojave Desert AQMD, and the County of Department of Public Works. I did note the city did respond fully to each of these 4 comment letters received. There was no new information or new impacts identified through their comment letters that would warrant any kind of recirculation of this EIR. And then finally, the staff report before you does include the final EIR. The final EIR consists of the responses to comments document, the errata, which includes several clarifications and minor administrative adjustments to the draft EIR, and then finally the mitigation monitoring and reporting program. And that concludes our presentation. We're happy to take any questions you may have either right now or later on during this evening. Thank you very much. Or later on.
You were muted.
Yep, sorry about that. Yeah, let's see if the commission has any questions for the consultant on this, on that portion of the presentation. Okay, hearing no questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Takes me a while to unmute. I have a question. The foreseeable development area, will it be cleaned up prior to developing, or is it, or is the plan to wait until it does get developed? Because it definitely is an eyesore. They say it has asbestos in it. And there were a few years ago, the homeless stealing wire in the walls and what have you. Is it in the specific plan to clean that area up, which would, I would think, make it more attractive for someone to want to develop at the airport?
So Chairman, this is Mike. There is no set demolition program in the specific plan. It will be project by project. I know you did voice this same concern back in the notice of preparation scoping meeting. We have spoke with the consultant about this. One thing to note, most of the old housing lies on city-owned property still to this at this point. Sterling, the developer, did have, you may have seen the work out there. They've had 2 large demolition projects which took acreages of old buildings and asbestos and so forth, and they did clean that up. But as of this point, it is project by project. That doesn't mean that someday we can propose, you know, a demo plan for a large portion if we move on that. But project by project at this point.
Okay, and then the decrease in the footprint, you say that's to improve the airport development of the airport itself?
From my understanding, it's just reflecting market, the actual realistic market. So we've had this plan for 25 plus years. We know what has built out there in that time period. So They're just looking at the next 20 to 25 years out and realizing that in reality, this is what we're building. This is our footprint now for the lifetime of this, updated specific plan. So it has reduced that development footprint by quite a bit. And they took out the rail project, or we did. We took out the rail project as well that we put in 2004 because it just wasn't there for the market. So that reduced the footprint as well.
Be quick because my dog's barking. Thank you, Mike.
Welcome.
Okay, if there's no other questions, is there more to the presentation on the applicant or the Sterling side, or are we ready to move forward?
Nothing else. Nothing else.
Okay, then I need to ask if there's I'm sorry. Okay, if that's it, then I need to ask if there's anyone else here that wants to speak on this item. Do we see anyone, Ms. Robinson?
No, I don't see any other hands raised.
Okay.
I'll raise my hand. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't find the raise hand button, but I did find the unmute button. So thank you. My name is Brian Parno. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Sterling Development. Again, like it's been said many times, thank you for hearing our submission. I appreciate the time it's taken for you to review. I know it's a long document and hard to understand and grasp the details in a quick session. But I would also like to reiterate my thanks to Mike Sarzinski and Scott Webb and the rest of the city staff. Many of you may have noted the case number. It says PLAN 19- triple or quad 4. The 19 stands for 2019. We started this project 2 years ago, and we've had a great cooperative working relationship with the city for over those 2 years. And our team has made a significant investment, and we're pretty excited to have this report finally in front of you for your review. So I'm simply here to back up our team to answer any questions from an owner and a developer's point of view, if you have any, but love to have your questions. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Parno. And if we don't have anyone else while the public hearing is open, then I will go ahead and close the public hearing. And I'll bring item number 3 back to the commission for any final comments. Any final comments from any of the commissioners at this point? Seeing none, I only have one question myself for staff. In the report under chapter 6, if you could clarify for me just a little bit on having to do with the planning commission versus zoning administrator approval process on specific projects, and that's the chapter 6 area, if you remember that area.
Yes, Chairman, this is a fairly unique process to kind of fast track development that would fall under the adopted environmental impact report, as well as fall under the specific plan guidelines. If those 2 criterion are met, the plan that you will recommend to adopt, those projects will be fast tracked to the zoning administrator for approval rather than the planning commission. On a smaller scale, it's kind of similar what we've done, like at the crossroads at 395, you approved the shopping center. All those other outlying buildings, as long as they met under the EIR and the design guidelines and the sign guidelines, and consistently met all those standards, it would go to the zoning administrator approval process. So if that's something that the planning commission is comfortable with, that's gonna just really help out development out there, cut red tape, and you can assure if it doesn't fall within under the EIR or the design guidelines of what you've approved, it would go to the commission.
Okay, that's what I wanted to understand, because I thought I read that if it's a certain amount outside of the new guidelines on, say, a new development, then it would have to go to the planning commission. And I personally feel comfortable with this as long as we are aware of what the guidelines are and we have faith in staff. And I'm all for, helping development get through the system as long as it's appropriate and legal, of course. Any other? I don't have any other questions. So if the commissioners have any more thoughts or questions, chime in now, or feel free to make a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion to approve the new specific plan. And I guess that's it.
Okay, I'll second.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Harriman, seconded by Chair Kurth. Roll call vote, Commissioner Askins Cook.
Aye.
I'm sorry about that.
No
Cook
worries.
Askins.
No worries. Aye.
Commissioner Thomas. Oh, you're muted.
Aye.
Thank you. Vice Chair Harriman
Aye.
and Chair Kurth.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, congratulations on that one. Yeah, Mike, 2 years wasn't too long for you.
No, not too bad at all, Rob.
Yeah, congratulations, guys. And,
Chairman.
let's get going on those projects out there.
Good job, Mike.
So that is that's it for all the business. This time it's a public comment. We will open up comments to the general public on any item that falls within our subject matter jurisdiction according to the Brown Act. Is there anyone to speak to us in open public comment?
Yes, our first speaker is Paul Marsh.
Hello, Mr. Marsh.
Good evening, Chairman Kurth, fellow commissioners. I have a question. Well, not a question. For agenda item number 4, the vinyl fencing. While there's still consideration being made and research on that topic, I was wondering if you would also take into consideration as far as, because not everybody wants, if everything's going to be standard, basically. So is it going to be in the new neighborhoods or whatever, wherever's being put up, constructed, is it all going to be white fencing? The other thing is that, let's just say that I move in or somebody moves in, they don't want white fencing. Can they paint their fence? And if so, does that void the warranty on the fence? Or how well does the vinyl hold up to paint? Also, I would like to know what the cost is, the additional cost to that for somebody that has vinyl fencing versus regular fencing or whatnot to the buyer, because, as far as getting buyers qualified, cost does matter. I priced a vinyl fence for my yard, and the quote that they gave me was $11,600, which was pretty pricey for me. So I stuck with wood. And also the other part is the last part that I would like to hopefully y'all take into consideration or if find out, the shared fencing between properties. If somebody wanted wood fencing, is that going to prevent them from, is there going to be a conflict there? So those are the things that I'm hoping that, we could, within your research or whatnot, or that we can find out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your comments, Mr. Marsh, and I'm sure city staff has made note of those, and that'll be part of the presentation. Is there anyone else we're showing that would like to speak and open public comment?
Nope, there are no other speakers.
Okay, then at this time we can wrap it up with any commissioner reports. Commissioner Cook Askins, anything to report or anything you'd like to say?
So just looking forward to a comprehensive report from the city staff on the vinyl fencing. So looking forward to hearing about that in the coming months.
Okay, and Commissioner Thomas, anything to add or report?
Yeah, sorry about that. I have to get used to unmuting. No, not really. I did attend the Planning Commissioners Academy a couple of weeks ago, and it was really a great experience. I'd like to do more of that type training, but it was really informative. So that worked out well for me. And let me say that just driving around the city, it's good to see the projects that are going, really get going, because it seems that some of them had been a little stagnant, but it's good to see that things are happening. So hope we can continue to move in that vein. That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Harriman?
I would just reiterate what Commissioner Thomas said. The old Del Taco went down. I was glad to see that. And the Dutch Brothers Coffee going in, I think Bear Valley Road is getting a facelift, and I think that reflects good on the community. That's all I have.
Thanks. Yeah, I agree. And I don't have anything else. Anything from staff, Mr. Webb, or anyone else on staff level?
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay. Well, then I will thank everyone and call this meeting adjourned. Good evening.